All right, here we go. Cool. So, as with any project, I'll need to start here, cd desktop, and should we build with Yeoman Candyman? Okay, yo, Candyman, bank account? Can you guys see this? Bank account. That's it, right? Okay, cool. I want Bootstrap. Yes. Okay, everything looks good. So I will cd into, actually, let's just drag this down into VS Code. Cool. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, debugger. Restore for now. Why not? Cool. So I'm just gonna.
I don't know. Somebody could just stand here to work. Maybe you can do this. Are you okay? Well, there's a shape, but it's okay.
Cool. I'm just gonna copy and paste an old JSON project that I have. Oh, this is kind of small, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. So you guys know what all of these dependencies do, more or less, a little bit, kind of. As long as you know that, oh, okay, I'll probably need to clump this stuff over together. I mean, this lets us work with EF in conjunction with MySQL. This allows us to, I think, hash passwords and stuff, right?
I'm used to, like you did, just open the last thing
Yeah.
I worked on and copy.
Totally fine, yeah. I mean, as long as if you were asked what these do, you can kind of infer. Session allows us to use sessions. Static files allows us to pull from our static files, our www root files, stuff like that.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so everything's restored. Cool. What now? Oops.
Create more.
Okay, before I start creating my models, I want to first connect to my database so that I can start creating those models. I'll need something called appsettings.json, right? Oops, not a new folder. I'll do that too. Yeah, app setting. I think I'm gonna just piggyback off of the bank account database that I already have from when I did this assignment a while ago, just because I don't want to recreate it. But well, I have to. Okay. Cool. What goes in my app settings.json?
Name and string.
A name and a string, right? In my DB settings, I think, right? Let me just see here. Our DB info. Cool. Let's break this apart. What is in this very simple file?
So it looks like just a string that is it has a name in it.
Mhm.
The string is connecting to the database using your server name and ID and password.
Yeah, totally. So I'll need to tell my program to look at this .json file, right? So
But do you have a database there at the same time?
let me connect in my startup folder. Is it a service? I forget. Startup. I'll need, no, it's in my constructor function. Cool. I need to use some stuff. Cool. So this is our constructor function, right? So when our startup class, our function gets run, this all gets instantiated right away, right? And this add JSON file just tells us to, hey, look at app settings.json and use it, basically.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so now app setting JSON. I'm looking at bank accounts as my database name on port 8889. So let us use all of that good stuff. References, ports, 8889. Just make sure that yours are the same as what you put into your file. Thank you. Cool. So bank accounts. Cool. So I have two tables. I called my other table actions. I'm just going to use this same one. Cool?
Should we see what the fields are?
Yes, we should, because then we can actually create our models files, right? So they can map to them. So users, columns, first name, last name, email, password, money, created at, updated at. Basically exactly what we have. Change out balance with money. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we need to create a models folder.
So you already had a template for this?
This? No, I had done this assignment previously, yeah, a while back, and my MySQL Workbench is bugging out pretty hard over the last week, so I didn't want to try to create a new one and have to debug it for the next like 30 minutes while you guys watch. What was I doing? Oh yeah, my models. I'll need a user.cs, and I'll need new file a action.cs. Cool. In my user.cs, what do I need to do here?
Add
It's my namespace. Okay. You know what? Just for the sake of speed, we'll go over each of this. Cool. So bank account, I think it's a lowercase b. Yeah. Bank account dot models. I have my base entity, public class user. I have a user ID that's an int, a string of email, string of password, int money, created at, updated at, and I have something down here.
You don't have updated that. Okay.
Connection, for connecting the models together.
Yes, but how?
You have to explain the.
Okay, let's build out our action.cs. Cool. So now we have our two. Now we have our two models, right? Those two models that we've created. How are we linking our action to our user? What are we storing in action? A foreign key, right? And that's represented right here, public int user ID, right? That's literally all it is just an integer, right? It can be a 1, 5, a 10, whatever you want it to be, right? This public user type user, and we've given it a name user, right? It's an object of type user, right? This doesn't get saved in our database anywhere. It's you can think of it like a placeholder for when we actually go and retrieve the user using this user ID, it gets placed into this placeholder. Does that make sense? So these kind of come in pairs together. Cool. So when you're creating your table, you can think, okay, yeah, I'll need a key for my ID. This will be a string type, amount. I'll need a date time. This will be an int. This last field here, again, it doesn't actually get saved into your database, right? Cool. Now, what's happening on the user side? Can someone guess what's happening here? Public.
It's getting the object of the action model, and and this action model is actually creating it to the user model for providing the fields for the user model.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So here we create a field called actions, right? What type is actions?
List object.
It's a list of many action objects, right? Is there anything in there right now? No, right? We create a field name for email, but do we have a string of anything in email when we create a user? No, right? So we just have this kind of listed there. And what do we call this type of function or method?
Constructor.
A constructor method, right? So when we instantiate a new user based on this user class, this function gets run immediately, right, upon instantiation. And what happens? In my actions variable, which is a list of actions, I'm going to create a new list of actions. So it might seem a little circular, but it's not really, right? You're reserving a space,
In the memory.
and when you create the user, you fill that space up immediately. Does that make sense? So we're just putting a little list in there. Nothing's in there yet, but it's a container that will eventually hold many action objects. Cool?
Related to the user.
Yes, exactly. Later we'll get into the dot. What's that method? Not dot populate. Dot include, and that will be how we actually get the user object and store it into this user placeholder. And that's essentially how we stitch objects together or different tables together. And it's super. This is all we need in order to set up our models. Pretty easy, right?
So does it match? Needs to match the user model with this object?
Say that again.
The object that it says user parentheses is a constructor. It has to match the other model as well.
What other model?
The
Action.
user model.
This is my user model.
It's action model, I think.
Oh, okay. No, the action model.
Action model?
Yeah, it has to match with this.
Are we using the action model? I felt like we were just making something that's populating some other thing in the type of action. So it's making the stuff inside the list conform to this action model. So,
No, they can be unrelated altogether. They don't know of each other's existence, right? The only way that we link them together through this tiny little string is through just this user ID, right? That gets stored in here. And then with the dot include method, we find the user
Yes.
with that user ID and then plop them right into this user
Okay.
space, right?
So in that action model, if you go there, the other one, not this one.
This is my user model.
This one, user model. If you go in there and can you change the action to something else? Like
Here?
instead of, yeah. Not here.
The type?
Yes, the type.
The type needs to be
The model.
the data
Yes.
type of what you want to store in there.
Okay.
Yeah. This action is referring to this entire object.
Okay. So it looks about that.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. All right. Cool. So we've created our models, right?
Yes.
All right. What's the next step for me here?
Creating views.
Hmm?
Start creating views.
Start creating views? Not quite yet.
Tables and database?
Kind of. I'm kind of getting towards.
User factory or something.
We won't need factories. We use factories more in Dapper. We don't need factories anymore. But something like that. We need some type of connection to our database.
Our context?
Yes, our context. Yeah. Cool. So, how do you create a context file? Context file. Let's just go copy that. Mhm. So new file in our models, call it bank account context.cs. Cool. Bank account context, excellent. Cool. So in this bank account context, this is what we use to communicate to our database, right? And this DB set allows us to essentially get stuff and set stuff into our MySQL database.
so this might be something to do
Data setup.
afterwards, but it would be supremely helpful for me if we could unpack what's going on here. Because I spent a lot of time yesterday staring at this, trying to figure out.
This one file? Sure, let's talk about that later. Yeah, for sure. You'll see, maybe it'll become clearer as we interact with our context file. Cool. Okay, cool. So we've created our context file. We've created our models. Did we in my startup, I think we need to add a service. I always forget these lines. So, I need another using statement. Oh. I hate when Visual Studio Code doesn't work with me. Okay, all set. So I think we're fully configured now. That took a while, right? But if you want to make that workflow process a lot easier, you can make kind of like a checklist of things to do or things you need to do to configure up your application, because there are quite a few steps involved. I know that's what I do, right? Cool. All right. So I think we're all set. Get rid of our startup, bank account context. And for every single table that you have that you at least want to interact with, you'll need a DB set for each of those tables, right? So if I have 3 tables or 4 tables, I'll need a DB set for each of those.
This is basically data set, right?
Okay, cool. So, controllers. Let me see. Let's call this my users controller. Index, views, I need to change this. Rename users. Cool. All right. .NET run. And let's see. Localhost 5000. Okay, perfect. Cool. So we're in business. Everything's working. Everything's up on our page. Let's start building out some of this here. Register, login. How do I HTML again? H1 register form. Let's call this register.
6-ish input fields.
Does it matter that your controller is still called home controller?
Is it called home controller? It does matter.
Okay.
Method post. New rename.
Why does that matter?
Because your view files will look, it'll map the folder name of all of the CS HTML files that are in this folder to its controller.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
It still found the index that had like the default stuff.
Oh, sorry, for the user's controller class. Does it?
Got you.
Maybe it doesn't matter that
So you
it's
have
the
to
name
change
of
that
it.
File also from controller.
I don't know.
You have to name it.
Apparently I don't have to, but I'm going to.
I heard
Yeah.
that it's
Your controller name does have to match with the user's folder.
Cool.
Form label for first name. Input type text ID F name. What else do I need? Name. This is gonna be first name.
No tag helpers.
Nope. Gonna make this as simple as I can. Last name, email address. Password. Actually, I'm gonna leave this as text for now. Password. And password. Confirmation. PW. Confirm. What else do I need? That's it?
Submit button.
Register. Cool. I'm gonna put a couple of break tags. All right. Great. Am I missing something? No? Okay. This will be login. All I need is my email, password, login. Great. All right, so my HTML is built. Help me code out the rest of this, please.
So the first thing we're doing is hitting the register route.
We should probably start with the register route. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oops. What did I do?
Name it from index to register. This control.
Oh man. No, it's just the. Have you guys run into this before?
Oh, you gotta turn it off, turn it on.
Yeah. That's just an IntelliSense error that comes packaged with the VS Code software. Cool, we're all good. You were saying?
So we should make our register route.
Which will be a post.
Like it.
Post. Register. Route. Register. We'll call this register. Return view. We'll see what it returns. Yeah, cool. How about we console? There you go. In register routes. And let's out a login route. And we will return redirect to action, my index action, redirect to action, index. Cool. .NET run. What happened? Oh, that's my output. .NET run. Excellent. Register. In register route. Login. In login route. Great. So my routes are functional. Now what?
Then we need methods that do the transactions. Sorry, user registration.
I have to do what with the user?
Create user.
Create the user, right? So how do I create the user?
New user object.
New user object.
Is model state valid? And then do if so.
Is model state valid? Interesting.
Is that with tag helpers only?
No, not necessarily.
Do we have what we need to check if model state is valid?
How do I write the
But
syntax
we
for
will check-
if model state is valid?
But we have
If-
to check the database is connecting or not.
Well, we'll get there. If model state dot is valid. Oops, that's not right.
Is count.
Is valid. then do something here.
Yeah, let's make a new
Else.
object.
Let's.
Redirect to index.
I will CW. All good. Else. Not good. And I guess we can just leave this down here for now. So how do I, oops, did I start that just now? How do I check to see if my model state is valid or not? What is model state? What is valid?
It's a model that is you have defined users and accounts.
Mm-hmm.
If it's valid, it's checking with the form or not. If the variable name is matching or not.
Yes. If so, it's gonna run all the validations that we have. Yes, and it's gonna if it does not satisfy any of our validations, right? If I have an email field that's required and I don't put in an email, then it's gonna spit out an error for me, right? Yeah. So it's actually super convenient to do it that way. How can I begin to write that though?
Go to the model and check.
My
You have no required
user
defined.
here.
Yeah. So go on properties. Say user first name required, last name required.
Is it above or below? I almost forget. It's
Above.
above, right? Okay. Cool. So this is
Required.
required.
Yeah.
Why you need to use this annotations, data annotations.
And
Great,
you can
great.
also do
Uh,
display name if you want to change.
Specify that that's a key. Okay. Required.
And then you have the minimum letter.
I'm not too concerned about min length. Does anyone here have friends with a single letter name?
Yes.
You do? They can't register for my website then. I'm sorry. Passwords required. Money. We don't have a money field, right? So we want to maybe instantiate money equal to 0 when they get created, right? Cool.
And you need to
I'm just gonna refer back to our lovely email address, data type, password,
compare.
email address. We don't need this.
You need compare.
Compare.
Username, password. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Do you guys know the syntax for that?
I think it's compare. And then in your bracket you say password one. So you have password 1 and password 2, right?
So
Or you only have
my
don't compare.
yes, my model does not have a password confirmation field, right? Do you guys know what we need to do in this case?
Could you use not mapped?
Not mapped? Is that a data annotation?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and it doesn't have to be in the database.
So how would I write that out? I've
I
never
think
used that
it's
before.
just like required. Like it's,
Oh, but I list it here.
yeah. So like make your field for your password. And then what was it? Not mapped.
Password confirmation.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's not
okay. Ouch. Newtonsoft namespace
It's
not
definitely neat.
mapped.
Things like that. No.
Let's check it out.
Unmapped.
Let's take a look at this real quick. Data annotations not
Or you can put
mapped.
set in a field
Not
and
mapped
then
attribute
compare it.
system dot components. Or the thing that I was getting more at here was using view models. Have you guys used view models before? So if you guys read this chapter, this is talks exactly about what we're talking about. If your model contains, or if the form that you need to validate contains fields that are not in your actual database, this being the exact case of a password confirmation, then you use a separate model to do your validations for you, and then you create your object, your model. Exactly. Does that make sense?
Not exactly, but
Okay, let's do it then. I'm not. system.component.data annotations.schema. Not mapped. There you go. I don't know what that is, and I don't know how to use it, so I'm not going to use it for now. Good to know, though. I'll remind me to research it later. Yeah, but let's go with the view models first. Cool. So I am not going to have any of this.
Do you bind your view model to your view then?
Oh, my foot is dead. What?
Do you bind your view model to your view like you would for your model normally?
Kind of. Yes. So what I'm gonna do is create a view model. So register view model .cs, and in here, this is where I'm gonna run all my validations. And as my object comes in through my form, I'm going to check it against my register view model up here.
Oh, okay.
So view models. Cool. So register view model. Excellent. So my namespace is bank account. Inherits from bank entity. Cool. So as I receive my form, I check it against my register view model, and that will tell me whether or not my view or my view model is valid or not. Does that make sense? Because that's literally all view. Do you guys know what happens when you pass in? Shoot, register view model. I need to use models. Cool. Do you know? Have you guys passed in models through the action before?
Yeah. No.
Through an I action. Do you know what happens when you do this? If you used it. So when you pass in a model through this, it'll by default run that is valid method against. I forget what the method name is called. But without passing it through, we can check whether a model meets all the validations that we've given it, right? But passing it through the actual the iActionResult method itself, it'll run that check by default. So it's going to check all of the validations in my model, my register view model. So in this case, the form that I'm passing through from my CS.html file, this does need to map exactly to my register view model. Does that make sense?
Your register view model have all the things that needs to be validated.
Yeah, first name.
And this does not need to be matched to the database because it's just a model for.
You're exactly right. This does not need to be mapped. This does not do anything with my database at all. Inherently, none of these models do anything with your database at all. They are just the rules in which you say, okay, my object needs to have these fields, right, and these validations.
But this register view model does not need to be.
It does not.
Have to be matched with the database fields as the other model needs to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we have a action model, we have a register view model, we have a user model. But in our context, we're only DB setting users and actions because we don't need our register view model to communicate with our database ever. Because the only purpose that it serves is to validate additional fields coming in through the form.
So are view models only used for validation?
I don't know if they're only used for validations. I'm sure they're used for other stuff too. Yeah. Cool. What else did I have? First name, last name, email, password. Here we're matching against our password.
You're matching the password.
Okay. Form. First name, last name, email, password confirm. I think that's all of it. Cool. So we can check in our user controller if model state is valid. We're going to write all good. else viewBag.errors equals what? Is it like model state dot values or something like that, right? Model state dot values.
I feel like previously in the redirect we've just passed the same model that we passed into the function.
Sorry?
Is it working differently?
In the redirect?
So previously we did redirect to action or return view and then the template or the action to hit
Mm-hmm.
and then comma the object that we passed in at the beginning.
You can.
And that's how we got back. Oh no, I think that was with template
That's a tag-
helpers.
that's a tag
Tag helpers.
Yeah.
You're passing it back to object, so.
Cool. So far, what we have right now is we're going to
Validate the
submit this form. When we submit this form, we hit this route. When we hit that route, we run this function. When we run this function accepts a model, and this model will run validations for us, creating a model state. If the model state is valid, it'll run this line. If it's not valid, it'll print this line, and it'll store the errors in our VBag.errors. Did everyone follow that train of thought about what's going to happen step by step by step? Cool. And let's print these errors on the front end. Print errors. Sorry, I'm copying and pasting a lot, but I just want to get through this quicker. So for each, which is a for loop, var error in viewBag.errors. Let's call this capital E. If error at errors.counts, if there are any errors for that field, then print them. Cool. And we need to. Cool. Equals smooth list of whatever string. Cool. So here I want my errors to exist in my view bag and not lose them through a redirect. So I'm just going to return the view of index here. Awesome. .NET run. Cool. Refresh. Okay, register. Perfect. Email field is required. Last name field is required. Password field. First name field. Okay. So A or ASS.
How come last name and first name does not appear altogether?
Huh?
The order is not the right order.
I don't know how the orders are produced. If you wanted them to, if you wanted your validations to appear like right below the fields, then you could use the what do you call it? Tag helpers and all that stuff. Yeah.
I was just wondering why this order is not in order.
Minimum length of 2, minimum length of 8. Okay, so our validations seem to be working. What if we had all good stuff? Email.
Did you understand what he was saying?
Did I? Sorry, what was that?
Did you understand what he was saying?
Why these aren't in any particular order? I don't know why the validations aren't. Yeah. Yeah.
I have one suggestion. Can you just change like the views in this one, change the type to the password? For the password.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can change that to password, but I just want to view the text.
Okay.
I just usually have my password fields as text during development, just so I can see what I'm typing, and then I'll change the type to password. Yeah. Cool. So no errors. Everything went through. Let's check if my print statement worked. And all good. Cool. So instead of printing just all good, what can I do here? Yeah, actually create my user now, right? Cool. So how do I do that?
We're all wired up with Entity, right?
Yes.
So we can create a new object.
Type of user.
That sounds good.
Let's give it a name of new user. Sounds like a good name, right? Equals what?
Object.
What type of object? A new user, right? Cool. So now I'm creating a new user. What do I want the fields to be?
From the form. So
First name, set it to my model.firstname, right? What I brought back from my model, what I passed through here, or what I passed through here, right? So I passed in a register view model object, right? And I gave it the name of just model, right? This can be anything though, right? And now this object contains these fields, right? And they've all been validated for, right? Because my model state is valid. So that's what I'm doing here, model.firstname. Cool. Last name. Email. What else do I need to create? First name, last name, email, password. Do you guys want to hash this password or no? Okay.
How about we know how to we can hash passwords, and then just for now we can work on the entity.
Okay, so you guys know how to hash passwords then? Okay, cool.
Yes.
So model dot password. Okay. And I think I did that already. My money?
Yeah, money.
I did that here. Yeah.
And we can do a now for
Oh yeah, created at equals datetime dot now. Comma. Updated at datetime dot now. Cool. Am I missing any fields? String. We have a first name. We have a last name. We have an email. We have password. We've set money here. We've set our list action here. We have created at. We have updated at. I think we're good. Cool. Everyone good? Now what?
So the back to the users CS please.
Yes.
So how you insert
And execute.
the
Sorry?
the zero money, how you insert it to the database?
Oh, how is zero getting added?
Yeah.
So right now, if I were to console.writeLine new user, what would that user be?
a user.
A user
Which
object.
has been created.
Which is, it hasn't been saved to the database. Again, we haven't interacted with our database at all ever until you see this _context, which will add into our constructor function up here. Oh, what did I do?
New.
User. Oh my gosh, I'm tripping. User. Okay. Yeah. So if I were to print this new user, it would literally just be an object. It would have a first name set to whatever this was. It would have a last name set to whatever this was. Email, password, created at, updated at, set to whatever I set it here. And it would also have the money set to 0 and an actions set to an empty list. Because this here is a constructor function. Are we familiar with constructor functions?
So if I understand correctly, whenever we use the new keyword, it returns an instance of whatever it is that we are creating a new instance of, and we save that in new user in this instance. But because we've modified the user creator function,
Mhm.
before we tuck any special values into this instance
Mhm.
that are related to the model that we sent back,
Mm-hmm.
we've already got a list of actions called action, and we've already got a money that's set to 0.
Exactly. If I were to remove all of these, right, and I created a new user and just set first name equal to model.firstname, and I were to inspect this object that I have called new user, right, then the first name key would have a value of whatever we stored into it. Last names field would be null. Email would be null. Password would be null. Created at datetime would both be null. The actions would be an empty list, and the money would be 0. Does that make sense?
How to know this action related to that exact user?
This is a class, right? Going back to what we know about object-oriented programming. What is a class? Yeah, exactly. It's like a blueprint, and it has some attributes, it has some methods, right? But it's basically just a blueprint that we can mass produce a bunch of different objects with, right? A constructor function, when we create a new object using that class, the constructor function just runs immediately as soon as you create something of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as soon as we create any instance of this user class, as soon as we create it, these two attributes get set immediately
Yeah.
upon creation.
But each user has different actions. So how to map those actions to the certain user?
Each user just has an empty list of actions, and as we create actions, we will populate those actions to each user that they belong to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you guys get what a constructor function is and how it works? Okay, cool. So I think our user is ready to be saved to our database. What do you guys think? Yeah? Cool. How do I do that? Now, finally, we're interacting with our database. Everything up until this point, we did not need a native database for any of it.
We will create a connection.
Yes. How?
Context?
In the
Underscore
context.
context.
Yeah, local
What is underscore
Where is
context?
that done again?
Is the local context?
We will create a connection.
We were just
using
talking about
context.
constructor functions
That's done in the constructor for the user context, right?
for the user's control. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just going to copy and paste it over, and again, we can take a look at it. It's just a couple lines here. Cool. So let's just take a look at these 2 lines of code. Or I guess it's one, and this is one function. Cool. So we create a private variable. What's the name we've given this private variable?
Bank
Underscore
account
context.
Underscore context. What's its type?
underscore bank account.
Bank account. Exactly, yeah. So we've given this private variable called underscore context, which is the type of bank account context, right? When our user's controller gets instantiated, when we create our user's controller, we set underscore context to
The context of bank account.
why are we doing this here? Why are we going through this roundabout way?
Where is the context that we're passing in the user controller coming from?
Say that again.
So we're doing this when we instantiate user controller.
Yes.
Where is the context that we're passing to it coming from?
Where is
This?
bank
Yes,
account
sir.
context coming from?
This is just a model that is shared across our namespace.
Can you show the model?
Are we passing it, or is it
Yeah, this
happening automatically?
Oh yeah, you said that data.
Sorry?
If you switch back to user controller,
Mm-hmm.
so we're passing to the user controller constructor function.
Yes. We're
What's
passing
highlighted?
into the constructor function.
Are we doing that?
Or
What is context? Not underscore, but just context. What
they're
is
they're
that?
both the same exact thing, mind you. Yes.
This one is local context, yeah?
Yes. One is private and one is public. So what is context or what is underscore context? They're literally just objects of type bank account context, which is this. So it's an instantiation of this class. So remember you asked what this was and you were staring at this and I said we might come back to it. So this is just a class. And what do you guys know what this is here?
Yeah, we are inheriting the DB context.
Right? It's inheriting from DB context, which we have from Microsoft.ND Framework Core. What goes on in DB context options? What this options, base options? What it is actually inheriting? I don't know fully. We can definitely ask Dylan about that. But essentially, what it does is it establishes our connection to our MySQL database.
It has multiple function methods and all
Yeah.
that probably allows you to connect to the database.
Yes. So this is our object, right? So try to forget all of the like craziness that's happening and let's go back to straight base OOP, right? We have a class and classes create objects, right? This is our class, right? And here we're instantiating that class and we're storing it in a variable called context. So here we can interact with our database through our context variable. And what attributes does our bank account context have?
DB context, DB set.
It has users and actions, right? And this is what allows us to communicate with our different tables. Context.users.add new user. Context.save changes. So where is this .add, this .save changes coming from? It's coming from DB context, right?
So
Cool.
all the insertion will be done through this.
That's
You
it.
don't
We're
need to
done
write
right
any
now.
query. Okay.
No, we don't. Yeah, that's the entire point of an ORM is that
So
it'll
context handle set.
exactly it'll write those insert queries for you. They do get all boiled down to straight SQL.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about ORMs is that we don't have to worry about that. We can just use their nice methods that they have packaged for you. So here we create a new user from our context, which is again our database connection. We add our new user, and then through our database connection again, we save our changes.
So if I understand correctly, when we're working with underscore context, we don't have to specify the user model unless there's multiple models that have the exact same fields. Let's put a pin in that one.
I don't know to what extent the fields would have to be exactly the same in order for that mapping to get confused. Because for the most part, I think you're safe. You're saying we don't need this users, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We
Fine.
don't.
Yeah.
And for it to get confused
We do
to
that.
which table to get into, because this table has almost identical fields as this table and it doesn't know what to match with, they would need to have almost identical columns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is an extra measure of like, yep, I want it in that exact table. Yeah.
Cool.
But you're right, we don't need it.
You sure we don't need it?
No, we need it because we need to know where this object gonna. Yeah.
So that's the point, is that it'll map it for you. It'll
Yeah.
look for the
It will
table
generate
with
an
the
error.
same
If
columns.
it cannot find it, then it will.
Exactly.
generate
So
an
we
error.
don't need to do that.
Okay, so
But let's just leave it at this. This is safer. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
that was a good question.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we're good.
Sweet.
We covered almost all of the big topics. From here on out, we're just going to start building out the application.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome.
So we talked about creating models and the one-to-many relationship and how they're linked together. We haven't actually coded that part out yet, but we set that up in our models, right? We also talked about constructor functions and how they operate. We also talked about the context variable that we're using here. And if it wasn't clear what's happening here, literally this could just be public, and we don't need this, and everything would work just fine. What's happening is that we are setting this private variable. Well, we're setting this variable as a private variable so that it's more secure and not random
Everybody
people
is
can
accessing
communicate
it.
with your database, right? It's just an extra measure of security. Cool. But yeah,
So just try add. Is it working?
I don't know. It's a good question. If we hit this line, nothing breaks. If we hit this line, nothing breaks, and we hit this line.
We can
We'll
do
print
it.
that, and then how about we return redirects to action dashboard. So that means we'll probably need a dashboard method, right? We're going to redirect to a method called dashboard, which is here.
I think dashboard after login, not after registration.
We're kind of just making these names up.
Cool. So this method, as so far, does what?
Just send a view.
Literally just loads a view called dashboard, right? So let's create a new file, dashboard.cshtml. No? Perfect. And
Just say success.
actually, I don't think I needed any of this. Let's do this. Cool. You ready? Moment of truth. .NET run. Refresh. Cool. Let's do Chris. Kickiness. Did I have any validations on the length of my password?
Yes,
Did I have any other validations on like what it needed to be? No. Okay, cool. Register. Yay! So our registration works.
Yeah.
Good news.
You just check
Can you
the
go in
database.
database and check?
So,
Yes. Let's do that. What should I do after I've saved my user to my database?
Display.
with regards to what?
With regards to, so once I get to my success page, I need to be able to know who's logged in, right? Right now,
Let's set a session.
yeah, let's set a session, right? So http context.session.key set int
Set string.
set
Is it two string?
Yeah, set
Mm,
string.
well,
It's just
I'm
set
gonna
string,
need.
right?
You know, you're missing using.
I'm gonna set an int actually because it's just gonna be an ID. Set int cur user ID,
Okay.
and I'm gonna set that equal to new user dot user ID. Cool. Clear?
No, he did not pass. Okay. He did not pass. Oh yeah. Okay. Session.
So all I did was I saved my user to the database, and before I redirect, hey, I want to remember what your ID was. I'm gonna store it in my session, and then I'll redirect. And then as soon as I hit my redirect to my dashboard, now what?
You will get the ID and put it in a view bag.
Put it in a view bag. So view bag dot cur user equals what?
You, HTTP HTTP
So extract my session.
yes.
Then into viewbag.cur user, I'll be storing the integer like 1.
Yes.
So once you want to do a query,
Yes, I want to query using that. What's the query? Okay, first of all, before we get to the actual syntax of the query, what do I know I need to use in order to communicate with my database? Context. Underscore context. Great place to start. Dot. What table am I interacting with?
We're setting
user-
the whole user in ViewBag?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's safe. Storing the entire user in the session is very not safe.
Okay.
Yes. Context.users
dot
Single?
dot
add single.
single or default is it called?
So we have the ID in session because we just added them, right? So we know we don't need default.
No.
It won't give us null because we just created the user, right? So we're pretty secure in knowing that the user exists.
What if session timed out?
What's
that
session?
That would crash or something? Maybe?
Wait, what is wrong here?
It needs a function call.
Oh, I'm not done with writing it. Okay, I thought I missed a using statement. Yeah.
Never mind.
It's good to have the default because you're right that we'll probably not need the default, but the entire point of a default is like a just in case.
Okay.
Right. Cool. Singular default. What?
Brackets.
Yeah.
And we're gonna want like a
You
lambda.
need to pass an ID. You need to pass an ID. So it's a user dot user ID.
Yes, but it's not quite that simple. We do need to run a lambda function to go and search through our users and get the one that matches the user ID. So user, pass it through into my lambda user dot user ID equals
User
my
dot
session
session
ID here. Cool, right? So my session will go here. I'll just write that out real quick. Dot session
Get
dot get int 32. What's it called? Per user.
per-
Perfect. So what's happening here?
So it's going to.
So let's say HTTP context.session.get int 32 per u. Let's say that's 1, right? Let's say that extracts 1, right? Cool.
Yeah.
So what's happening here?
So you will query it using the user ID based on the user model.
Yes,
Select all those users where your user ID is.
that's exactly right.
The word user could be like anything. It could be like E, right? It's like an anonymous function.
Absolutely
Could be
could be anything you want. Yeah.
Cool.
So what you're doing, that's what a lambda is, right? It's an anonymous function, right? And this syntax might seem a little bit weird, but basically this is where you define your parameters, right? And again, it can be anything. So you're looping through, that's what's happening, is you're looping through all of the users that we have, and you're saying every user in our users database, represent that user as X. If x.userid, so this user's user ID, equals 1, then return that user and stop, that single one. If this was a where, then instead of returning a single one, it would add it to a list and return that list. So if this was x.user name was like John, there could be many users with the username John, right? So it'll loop through all of your users, and where this lambda function, this condition evaluates to true, it will take that object and store it into this list. When it's exhausted its list, it'll return what evaluated as true to you.
It'll automatically put in the list. You don't need to use to list.
You do when you're using a .where though.
Oh, okay.
Right now we're just doing a single or default. When we get there, we'll probably need to do that. Yeah.
So just to be super clear, I was told that the part that's doing the looping, that's checking over every instance, is the singular default, and that the lambda function doesn't inherently do
No,
looping, right?
the lambda function is being what's evaluated at every loop.
Gotcha.
Yes. So it's like a for loop with a lambda function built into the middle of the for loop.
Awesome.
Yeah. Clear, if not clear-ish.
So we're taking session
Yes.
and then throwing that session into a view bag.
Not the session. We are querying our database for a single user whose user ID matches what we stored in session. And then whatever that query brings back, which will be a user object, we'll put that in our session or a view bag.
Okay.
So our viewbag.curUser, by the time we actually return the dashboard view, our viewbag.curUser should contain the user object.
Okay.
So I could then on my front end do like curUser.firstName or curUser.lastName, which we'll do now. Dashboard. Welcome at viewbag. You could have an else. Well, that would be a little bit of a more.
Take it out, right? We wouldn't need it.
Oh, if you're evaluating for just true and false, those are literally the only two options you can have for a boolean, right? Then you don't need an else. But if you're evaluating for like many different true or falses, like if I want to query the database for everyone with the first name John and also the last name starts with the letter S. If I'm querying for multiple different things, then we could stack up those queries. Yeah. viewbag.curUser.firstName.
Yep.
At viewbag.curUser.lastName. Cool. Let's check it out.
If you run viewbag.current user.for.
Dot all? I don't know if dot all is a method that's available to us from the objects. Localhost.
Do we have login set up?
We don't. Let's register someone new though.
Okay.
Saman.
Oh, man.
Saman the Man.
It's actually spelled
Saman the, is it not spelled right?
No, I'm playing with you.
Okay, samantheman@gmail.com.
It's actually kind of impressive.
Is it spelled right?
That is exactly my email as well.
Saman the Man?
No, it's
Yeah. Okay, password SDF. Cool. So now at least we know that our querying is working. We're getting the user. We don't have a login set up yet. Let's get to that later. That's kind of more of a tedious. You guys all know how to log someone in for the most part.
yes, sir.
Okay, we're here. What do we want our wireframe to look like? I lost it. Entity framework, bank accounts. Welcome, comma, username, current balance. Welcome, comma, huh?
The current balance is pretty easy, right?
Oh, for sure it is.
It's just dot notation on the view bag.
At viewbag dot cur user dot money or total. What was it? Money. Oh, we probably want to say total current balance 0. Cool.
Pretty close, man.
All right. Now what do we need? Another form, deposit, withdraw, and a submit button. Cool. Label for action. Deposit / withdraw.
What is for action?
For links your input tags to their text. So let me show you. Input. Wait, this is an input? That's a select. No, wait, that's an input.
That's a select.
Type number. Name. Amount. Do we need anything else?
Submit.
I need. That's it.
Are you using Emmet?
I'm using whatever Atom or Sublime came default with.
Okay.
Yeah, I just mirrored it onto this. Cool. If we refresh, cool.
What? So what are you doing to get the arrows?
Type number.
Sweet.
So instead of type text, you do type
Coolio.
number. Is that it?
It can go negative.
It can go negative as long as it's a number. I don't know. Can you do? Oh shoot. Oh shoot. I just closed my windows on accident. Okay, looks like we need to.
We'll just hit the route and see if it still has the.
I think you're right.
section that's not clearing.
You're right. Oops. Can I do like 3.3? Oh, maybe I can. I don't know what that'll do actually. Cool. What else do I need? A table. Table. T head. T row. TH. TH amounts. Let's give this class table. Table striped. Table ordered. Yeah. Mount. Date. Cool. Excellent. Cool. So we have a current balance. Okay. Space this out a bit. Sorry, I'm not using any CSS right now.
You can do X.
Cool. Right. Now, for every action that I have, I'll have a row, right? So that's probably what my TD will look like. Or my table body. It's T body, right? Okay. And that's where my loop will go. For now, let's work on my form here. Action. What should I call this?
Process.
Process.
Transaction, process.
Process. Method. Post. Cool. Process. I should do this in a different controller, shouldn't I?
Action
Yes.
controller.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
New file.
So do what in a different
The transactions.
All of the like methods and view rendering and querying and all of the actions that I need to do that pertain to my actions model should belong in its own controller. Yeah. Okay, cool. Shoot. Cool. Now this is called actions controller. This will be called process. Process. This is a post. This is a method called process. Cool. And let's what should our return view be? Our return redirect to be?
The method in user controllers that rendered the dashboard.
Dashboard, comma,
Users.
users. Cool. So if you guys haven't gotten to this portion in your platforms yet, or maybe don't remember, if I want to redirect to a method that's not in this controller, it's in a different controller, then I just need to tell it, hey, redirect to this method in that controller. Cool? Okay, let's do this. I need a login method, actually. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to keep on creating new people.
Well, apparently we're not logging out, right? So it's just saving. We probably didn't have to make.
It'll log out when he resets the server.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that won't work, yeah.
Mr. King.
King.
Hell yeah.
King.
His last name is King King.
Sorry about
Two.
King
King.
King?
King Kong.
King
Oh.
Kong. All right.
I like that.
King Kong at Coding Dojo.
King Kong, the second movie and the March 10.
That's right. There's a new one coming.
Oh yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about that. Yeah. Cool. So now as I deposit monies, processing. Great. We've hit our route. We successfully redirected to our dashboard. Everything looks good. Now let's actually create this thing. Cool. All right. Processing. Cool. So now bank user controller dashboard. What am I passing through? Amount. Is that it? Amount
Goes to the money.
here. So int amounts. Wait, that's not right. I'm in the wrong place.
Processing.
Actions controller. So I'm passing in amounts through my form. I have my session ID. So action, new action equals a new action.
Far out.
What?
How did both get no O?
Action is an ambiguous reference.
Action.
Yeah,
Oh.
Did you define on the top?
It might be like there's another keyword called action or something like that. I just have to be more specific with it then. Bank count dot models dot. Yeah, that should work. We shouldn't have named it action.
Lame.
Yeah, that's gonna be annoying. Cool. Anyways, try to name your tables a little bit more uniquely. Don't name it like actions.
One word.
I like that workaround though. It's pretty good to know.
Yeah. So a new action with the what needs to go in our action?
The amount of amounts.
Amount to money.
So we need that's going to be saved string type.
Are we gonna have to do an if that says
Yes.
if amount is greater than 0, type equals credit?
Greater than or equal
Yeah, but
to
there's no type for the
0. Oops, what is this?
Greater than 0. It is equal to 0 means you did nothing.
So you're not crediting anything either, and you're not debiting anything either.
less than. Here you.
Oh, you know what? We can do that separately. So let's work on this first. So we need what? We need string int amount. Amounts equal to amount. This amount being the key of my object. This amount being this variable, right? Cool. Action created at, updated at, created at, date, time, dot, now. Oops, now.
There was no updated, right? Or was there?
Yeah, created
I think it was there. I don't know why, but we'll just do it too. Updated at and user ID.
Didn't take all the users. No.
Equals.
So to conform to the model is only holding an integer of the user ID, right? So what's going to go into our database is just an integer instead of the whole model.
Yeah, but I need to view which amount or account amount related to the amount X.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not the
But
ID.
because absolutely, but the ID is me.
Yeah.
So once I have the ID, I can go to the query to find the whole object.
Yes. So, if you guys can see, the only thing that I store into my user ID field, like you two were just talking about, is literally just the ID of the user that will eventually get replaced by the entire user object later when I query for it. Cool. So, cool. All right, and then here at the bottom, we can. Yeah.
Very, very briefly, are we casting to an integer because the HTTP context, blah 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 blah? I mean, aren't we saying get int itself? What's the why?
It returns that
Why you are
like,
casting?
a nullable
Cannot
int.
input. Yeah.
So it's like the int was a question mark. It means it can return null.
Aha,
So you have to cast to an int
got you.
because the function is working.
If amount is greater than 0,
Credit.
that means we are depositing money.
Sure.
What do we call it?
Do we want to say?
Type.
I don't know how nitty gritty we want to get, but do we want to say greater than or equal to 0? Or do we want to just say greater than 0?
Money for equal.
Wait, sorry, what? I was.
So
It's greater than 0. You don't need equal.
No need to do equal.
Okay. Else.
Oh, you know what? But the user could still, even though it wouldn't make any sense, input 0.
Yeah,
And
that's
then we
kind of my
would-
point.
And then we wouldn't have a type, and even though this doesn't make sense, it could throw an error.
It
So unless
could.
we wanna, unless we
Can we
want
go to our model? And
Yes.
Our V model and say it must be greater than, equal to or greater than 1 or less than or.
Here in my type
Yes.
or in my
Yeah,
amount.
range, yeah, you have to
validation.
specify the range.
Could you give it a range that's just like everything except for 0?
Yeah. Do you guys want to do that?
No, so define it in your set where you did your get set.
In here?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
In other words,
Instead of using like data
validations.
annotations?
Yeah.
You probably want to use data annotations for your validations, right? Right? Okay. For now, I'm gonna say let's come back to that because I don't know how long my video has been going on for.
Yeah,
For now, if it's
okay.
0,
The 0, yeah.
it'll just be considered a withdrawal.
Yeah.
Withdrawing $0. Or you know what? If you guys are really else if. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? We can just do it here. No, never mind. That's stupid. You guys get the idea. What did I do? Else.
Closing bracket and else.
Okay. Now that's where we store our type. Cool? Now we can context dot add new action and context dot save changes. Cool. Thus we create our actions. Any questions about this method? Oh, we have to update our total.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Cool.
That
So,
can be done at any time, right? It doesn't have to be before, after, save, create new user.
I don't think so. We can, well, if, I think one of the validations is if the withdrawal amount is more than what you have currently in your total, then to throw an error. You guys want to do that?
Please. Yeah, sure.
All right. So, the first thing we need to do then is check before we even save, before we create the action, we need to know whether or not we need to save the action or not. Because if they're trying to withdraw more than what they have, then we don't need to create a new action. We can just spit back at them, hey, you can't do this, right? So the first thing we need to do is query for a user, right? We've done that right here. Cool. So user, type user of this user equals that. Cool. So same thing. We're getting our user based on the user's ID, right? So this user is being stored.
Check the
If this user dot money is greater No. If amounts is greater than the user's money. So if they're trying to pull out more money than they already have, then
Then you do it.
we
Oh,
can
we cannot do it.
throw an error.
Yeah, message and then
Okay, let's do. I don't want to put it in the view bag because I'm going to be redirecting. Let's just put it. Sure, why not? So http.context.session.set string. What should we call this?
No money.
No money error. You
This transaction would overdraw your account. That was cold.
not enough money. Frowny face. Cool. So if that's the case, then store this in session and immediately redirects to action. I feel like I can modularize this much more because both of these are redirecting to the same thing, but we'll get there when we get there. Cool. Is that good?
Redirect to deposit money.
Okay, cool. Redirect to dashboard. Now when we get to our dashboard, we need to say if view bag dot
Session.
no money error equals null. Then set view bag dot no money error equal to what we have stored in our session. Cool? Get string.
Wouldn't we want to do that if it wasn't null?
If view bag dot money
Like,
is
check if there's
not.
an error there. Or we check and see if there's an error in.
No, I just want
Oh,
just to
view bag.
check if the view bag is there or not at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, you dropped your phone.
Wait, view bag.
Do we want to check session to see if there's an error? Is that what we're doing?
No, we just. I am trying to put it into my view bag. Okay, this is what I need to do. Okay. So if my view bag, if there's nothing being stored in it, then just store an empty string. Otherwise,
No, but why?
put the session into it. Does that make sense?
No. Why are you doing that? This is the first time it checks if it
Because if I have it like this, hold on, I'm getting lost in my own train of thought now. If I have it like this,
yeah, that's what you did, right? Otherwise it's empty, it's empty. You don't need to do anything.
mm-mm.
You need to set.
I have to do this. So if there's nothing being stored in my session, then set my money error equal to a string. Otherwise, set my money error to what's in the session. Otherwise, I'm going to try to pull from a null value. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Whoops. Oh, shoot. We might have to stop and redo this. Or pick up again. Cool. Any questions so far? .NET run. Cool. Oh. Bob
You can log in.
Bobbery.
Please don't log in.
Bob@bob.com. Okay, so if I try to that's a deposit. No, if I try to okay, this is good, I think. Viewbag.no-money error. Where should I P okay. Okay, so if I try to submit too much, then it'll say not enough money. Cool. I probably want to do this though, right? Because a negative value will be indicating that I'm withdrawing from something. So I want to say how can I check to see if it's a withdrawal?
You need two boxes. Withdraw and deposit. Or a checkbox that says deposit or withdraw,
Okay.
or radio button.
I feel like this can be much more modular, but I'm gonna say if the type is a withdrawal. Then do this. No, don't want to do that. Cool. This user, if amounts if amount is less than 0, that means it's a withdrawal, right? If amount is less than 0, and if amounts does that make sense? You think that'll work?
I think so.
I have no idea.
So if it's a withdrawal, and if that withdrawal, if the withdrawal's a negative number, so positive, yeah, I think that'll work.
Okay, and let's say here created new action. Cool. Oops. All right, first name Jimmy at jim@jim.com. Okay, I register and let's say I try to withdraw $10, but I have a 0 balance, not enough money. Let's say I try to deposit 10. Oh, I should have cleared that, but I think I created a new action. Good. So if I'm creating a new action, when I hit my dashboard, what I need to do is get all of the actions for this user.
Now we're playing with
Okay.
entity quantity.
So viewbag.all my actions is going to store context.actions.where action dot ID action dot user ID equals this http dot context. Okay, so now I'm getting everything, right? So now in my viewBag.allActions, I expect to see in IEnumerable some type of list with action objects that have that user's ID on them. Does that make sense? Cool. I'm gonna borrow something from here. Dashboard, T-body. Okay. So for each activity in viewBag.all my activities, view, let's just see, activity. Okay. Okay. Dylan, Sharky, What? Oh, is it all my actions? Yeah. Actions. Okay, so nothing. If I try to deposit $10, good. That doesn't seem to be going in the right place. It should bank account dot models dot action. What? What's happening? $30. Is my HTML wrong somewhere?
Why is it upside down?
T body activity dot amount. What?
Why? Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, T body T row.
Wait, the row
For-
and the. Okay, I got it.
For every in my T body
No, in the loop, in the loop.
In the loop, you want the row.
in the loop,
Do you need TD?
I want my table row, and I want my TD.
Just have action.
Oh my gosh, this demo has been going on way too long. Amounts. What else do I need? Date. Created at. We can format this too. Great. My current balance isn't updating though. We could probably do that pretty easily. So if I am new action, nope, yep, action. If I am creating, after I create my new action, I have my user object, right? This user. I need to set this user dot money plus equals amounts, right? And then I'm going to context dot save changes after that. Cool? Pretty simple. Excellent. Hopefully this is it, because I'm late for my meeting, but let's see. First name, Asher, Israel, Asher, ASDF.
Weird that everyone has the same password.
I know. So let's say we deposit $50. Great. Current balance is increasing. Let's say we $10. It increased. Let's say we 70. Oh, you want to withdraw 70? Let's first withdraw 50 to see if it works. Great, so it works, right? Now let's try to withdraw 20. I get an error, not enough money. Cool. All right. I think that's everything except for login, which I feel like you guys can all take care of, right?
Thanks a lot.
Cool.
Thank you.
For sure. Yeah. Sorry, we fumbled through that a little bit, but